This is Reforming on Air. I'm your host, Genevieve Ross. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Reforming on Air. I'm so excited to be here today. This has been something that I've been wanting to do for so long, and I'm so excited that I finally get to sit down and make time to do it. For those who don't know me, I am the owner of Reforming Pilates and the Only Studio, and the co-owner of Body Hot Pilates, which has just opened in Aventura. Aside from fitness being a passion of mine, the thing that gets me the most excited in the morning is being an entrepreneur. I'm the happiest when I'm immersing myself in business and branding. And so I am so excited to have an outlet for all other entrepreneurs who are just as passionate about business, branding, marketing, customer success, that we can get together and interview the most incredible people that are game changers in the industry right now in the health and wellness space. So I'm really excited to be here, and in the coming episodes you will see that we'll be talking to people that inspire me every day, that I can continuously learn from, and we'll be discussing everything from, upcoming trends to, why certain businesses don't work in this industry, why others, go to the moon. And so it's going to be really exciting to dig into that at a later stage. But for today, I would love to share my story about how I got here and how being an entrepreneur or being in love with business led me to this point. Because if you'd have asked me 5 years ago, would I have owned the fastest growing boutique fitness chain in South Florida, I would have said absolutely not. I'd never even been on a reformer before. So I think what it all boils down to at the core of everything is my love of business. And so I'm really excited to unpack that with you today. So how my story started is, I think a lot of people are just born with an entrepreneurial flair. I think it's something that just comes naturally to people. It is something that is in your bones from when you're young. I also believe that it's a skill that you can teach yourself. So if you don't necessarily feel like you have that entrepreneurial flair, it doesn't mean that this is not a journey for you. I think that there are a lot of skill sets you can learn that will, help you in business and help you become a great entrepreneur, a great business person. But for me, it was something that I was born with from day one. I have always tried to figure out how I can take $1 and turn it into 10. That's just something that I've just been passionate about my whole life. My first business, I want to say I was 7 years old. I started a dating agency at my school called Moments in Heaven. Crazy. Failed. Then I did another 15 more businesses at school, failed. I would end up buying things from the dollar store and selling it at school for like $5, failed. But the point is that throughout my whole life, I've just loved business so much and always been on top of entrepreneurial trends or business trends. And so when it came time to me, figuring out what my next move was, I left my corporate job in New York. I was working for a med tech company, and it came time for me to figure out what was going to be my next move and what was going to be my next business venture. And so during COVID, I moved here to Florida, and it was when I really immersed myself in the lifestyle of Miami that I realized that the fitness industry here is light years ahead of, I would say, pretty much 90% of the United States. It's growing, it's booming, and it's a really, really hot industry to be in. That was something that was going on in the background of my mind, but at the same time, an opportunity came about to take over a already existing reformer studio. And so I had these two ideas or two things moving at the same time, but I didn't realize how they would come together until much later down after taking over Reforming Pilates and seeing the growth of boutique fitness in Florida. For those of you who know Miami really well, I live on Bay Harbor Islands. I'm going to be the mayor one day. I'm obsessed with this island. And there came an opportunity to purchase an existing reformer studio here on the island. And it was a no-brainer. Well, actually, it was. I was not interested. I was not interested at all. My husband, Daniel, he pushed me. He was like, you need to make friends. This is a great opportunity. He pitched it as, well, you can go to class for free. and you'll make friends. And so in the beginning, what started out as like a pipeline idea, and the more I immersed myself in the studio, the more I realized if we're going to do this thing, we're not going to half-ass it. We're going to do it all the way. And so leaning on my background in branding and marketing, I really dug into how can we take this one brick and mortar space and how can we grow this brand that we're going to create into something that is going to be national and hopefully international in the future. But for now, how are we going to grow this brand in South Florida? And that was always at the forefront of my mind. I was never just going to be happy with one space. That was never on my trajectory for my business plan. And so when we took over the studio, there were a lot of things that we changed about it. And the first thing we did was social media, revamping the entire space, making it aesthetically pleasing. When all of this happened, there were no, and I don't want to say none, because obviously in LA there were some, but there were no aesthetically pleasing reformer Pilates studios in Miami. They just weren't. They were all outdated, they were old, and there was nothing around where you could go and take a reformer class and you walked into a space and you're like, this is a really chic, beautiful, cool space to be in. You kind of walked in and you were like expecting to see like Joseph Pilates and Clara pop out the back. It was always sort of like a little rundown. The machines were like people were using Allegro ones. It was not what it is today in the industry. And so I knew that even though I wanted to focus on the principles of Pilates and not straying too far from that, I wanted to create a boutique fitness company that is brandable. And so putting those two ideas together was how the concept of Reforming Pilates came about. And now if you look at, every other studio is beautiful. Aesthetically, it's stunning. As of 2021, when we did it, it was not like that. And so we started by really creating a community that was, main focus was to bring people together, like-minded people together, but in a beautiful space where everybody felt like they wanted to be and they wanted to work out. And this was kind of like a mix between a gym and a spa. And so through, social media and branding and marketing, the studio grew, our community grew, and it got to a point where people were asking us, can you please open a second location, in my neighborhood or over here. And so that's how the whole growth trajectory took off. We kind of depended on our community to lead the way as to where they wanted to see us next. And so we opened, in Miami Beach, and then after that in Fort Lauderdale, and we've kind of gone all the way up north, and we're opening soon in New York. It's just crazy how people don't want to work out in a room of 20, 30 people anymore. I think that's a major shift in the fitness space, in what is trending right now, is that people want that boutique aspect. They want that one-on-one feel. And that goes back to, everything about the experience, whether it's the class size, how the instructors interact with them, how they're greeted from the moment they walk in, customer service, customer success. These are all things that are really the foundation of what is going to make a space or a studio successful. And I think a lot of people forget that. I know for myself, when I'm traveling or I'm trying to, go to a workout space and I try and phone the studio, a lot of the time, no one's answering the phone. They're kind of saying, well, go on, everything's digitized, or it's very impossible to get hold of a real person. And so I think staying true to that boutique element is what has really created such a strong identity for Reforming Pilates. And I think that's what makes it work. And so I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of the rise of boutique fitness, but not only boutique fitness. I think just everything in the business space, people are craving to go back to that one-on-one feel, that they're not just a number, they're a person and they're a name. So I think what's going to be really exciting is if we follow the trends of what's to come. I think that is what is going to set businesses apart as like a benchmark for their success in this industry. So I'm excited to have guests on in the future, and we can discuss that, and we can see how, if we look at, big conglomerates, or especially in the fitness space, their numbers are dropping rapidly, and it's the mom and pops, studios who are waitlisted for weeks because that's clearly the trend that people want. Where, 10 years ago, that was not the case. If you look back, the big players in the industry 5 years ago was your Club Pilates. They were your Soul Cycle. They were your Flywheel. They were your Crunch gyms. These were, Equinox even. These were businesses that people went to and they still do. But now you have a lot more boutique spaces in this industry that are now taking off, to another level of popularity. And I think that's what people are hankering back to, is that I think it all boils down to that connection, that feeling of being recognized in a community as a person. And I think any brand, whether you're, at home launching, a skincare brand, or you're wanting to get into sort of like health supplements, anything that you're doing is making the consumer feel as if they are heard, understood, and appreciated. And I think that is what is going to be the biggest trend going forward in the next 18 months to 2 years. So even though this was a sneak peek into what to expect this season, I'm really excited to get people on and talk to them and really delve deep into what makes the consumer tick and what makes them want to actively spend money with your brand in your business. And I think the answer to that is, I stand by it. It's going to be the whole boutique feel, the small brand gone big. We're going to tap into that at a later stage, but I think that that's really going to be the key here, and I'm excited to explore that with you and share some insights with really incredible entrepreneurs in the space on how they have made it happen. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I know my husband will not. Don't forget to subscribe, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, as well as follow us on social media as we connect with the most exciting minds in the industry right now.